Michael Fullerton from PMLD Link. Welcome to this session, which is focused on the latest publication for PMLD Link Journal, the spring issue, and the theme this time around is being heard. Before we start into the session proper, just to let you know, just going to give a bit of an overview of PMLD Link, the charity and the work that we do. Also a bit of a plug for subscriptions. And the idea of these sessions is to focus on some of the articles within the latest journal, just to give a bit of a sort of flavor for some of the content. But of course, there's much more than these articles within the latest issue. So if you haven't been subscribing or your organization hasn't been, please sort of tap into that so you can sort of get a greater feel for all of the content within the publication. But today, I'm going to sort of get a sense of the article from Dreenagh Lyle, with her focus on Odyssey. So she will talk first. And then I'll do a session based on my role within Achieve Together, the organisation I work with, around Samir, and I'll sort of explain more of that in detail. We also had Julia Collar from Collar and Cuff lined up, but unfortunately she's had to pull out at short notice. Sadly, so hopefully you'll be able to sort of read her article in detail in the journal, but then also in light of that, sort of a bit more time and space for myself and Dreenagh to have some discussion and sort of like answer any questions that there might be. And I've extended my session a bit in order to sort of think about adult social care reform. But firstly, in terms of PMLD Link, it is a charity, a small charity, sort of focused on making sure there's positive networking and information sharing about people with profound and multiple learning disabilities at different stages of their lives, and of course, importantly, their families and carers. So it's like I say, a small charity, sort of run by sort of volunteers from various sort of networks, and sort of importantly again, sort of now family members of people with profound and multiple learning disabilities. Everyone with real passion about sharing and learning about people with profound and multiple learning disabilities. So whether it's the website or the social media or the PMLD standards or the journal, I'm hoping that's a lot of you are linked into the work that is going on through PMLD Link. And I say it's a bit of a plug for the journal, and we rely entirely on subscriptions to keep going, keep sharing and keep networking. So please do link in with that. If you're not a subscriber, please do push your organization to also be a subscriber. It's quite easy, and make sure that we can sort of keep doing the work that we're doing. Just let people in. I think Bella's lost. I'm just letting Bella back in again.
Thanks, Michael.
Hi. Okay, so if I pass across to yourself, Dreenagh, I'll just stop sharing so you can share your slides.
Thank you. My name's Dreenagh Lyle. I'm the parent of Odyssey, and I have to say I was very pleased to be able to contribute an article to this issue of PMLD Link on the subject of being the theme, I should say, of being heard. I'm passionate about raising awareness for this, for the people represented by PMLD Link magazine. So very happy to be doing this. Policymakers rarely meet anyone like my daughter. So for this reason, I always try to be scrupulous with my language in order to help them understand we are discussing people who don't use language per se to communicate. So I'd like to use pictures and videos here to tell Odyssey's story, as I'm interested in exploring just what listening to her actually means. So I selected this picture, even though it is a good few years old, but I selected this picture and I with the title Shared Attention, because I think that's what it illustrates really well. You can see the shared attention there, even though we're not facing each other, you know, physically you can see we're sharing attention, obviously sharing a joke. I used to work some years ago providing early intervention programs for families of children newly diagnosed with autism. And my colleague and I would always comment, because these were all children who didn't use words. And my colleague and I used to always comment how frustrating it must be for anyone to have someone constantly asking you questions that you cannot answer. And I think my idea at the time, I used to say, I talk about you're striving to be mentally, not just physically, but mentally side by side with someone rather than head on, which could be perceived as confrontational. Over the years, I must say, I've learned that listening involves more than simply hearing and interpreting sounds. It's much more than that. I've included this slide because it's a quote that I found in Valuing People, which is the policy for people with learning disability in England. And what I found fascinating about it, I looked through the whole original document, which is quite a long document, trying to find anything that was pertinent to people like my daughter. And when I found this, it struck me because it says she acquired neither language or formal signing, but was very well able to make her needs known. And that really, it's the very well that struck me, because you could have written she acquired neither language or formal signing, but was able to make her needs known, but very well able to make her needs known. I just wonder what compelled, I'm just wondering what compelled them to include the very well. I mean, my daughter is very well able to keep people at bay by a particular squawk she's developed when she doesn't want to do something, which is actually anything. In fact, one of her echolalic phrases is, just do nothing. But is she making a choice to do nothing? Is it an informed choice not to engage? And in a world of no, 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 how do we know when she really means no? So let's just have a wee listen to her. No screeching, no words, no screeching, no, 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 no's. Just very delighted to be on the train, going to Ramsgate to meet with her big sis and her nephew Booker. Now she knows she's going to Ramsgate. She's been going there for respite once a month for well over a year now. And prior to that, previous she was going. So she knows she's going to Ramsgate. She's obsessed with her nephew Booker. So she's very, very happy. And I'm just interested because I think she's making lots of excited sounds, gurgly sounds, having little chitter chatters back to me. She's very comfortable and very at ease and very relaxed. And yet, to the untrained eye, and in fact other people on the train, fellow travelers, not necessarily. I mean, some of them thought she was upset. Some people thought she was getting angry. And I've even been told that some people think she's drunk. wrong one. So being heard isn't necessarily the same as being understood. That's, I think, my point I'm trying to make. My daughter's nearly 50 now, so I'm probably attuned to the many different tones, frequencies, patterns that she makes. However, it still surprises me when people don't hear any difference in the tones. I mean, sometimes she might just be muttering and someone will say, oh, she's having a lovely sing, is she? And I think, no, she's not. When she's singing, you'd know she's singing. Because of being because of being blind from birth, and along with the echolalia, we end up with what Adam Ockelford in his research has described as absolute pitch. People who are born totally blind can have absolute. I used to think it was you know, wow, my daughter's got perfect pitch, but actually it's quite, oh God, it's quite common. It's quite common. I've lost it again. Oh, don't want that there. It's quite common. Sorry. Her first, more recently, we've noticed she can actually sing almost a whole verse, but she doesn't sing for the sake of the words. She doesn't want you to join in with her. She just likes the sensory feel, I think. Have a listen to this. Oh, Paul Young, what have you done? Like a world. Like a world. Like a world. Like. Oh, I took over managing her care about 15 years ago. And since she still lives at home and there's only her to support, I like to tell people, let's take our time with her. Now, oh, it's not, there we go. You can take your time with her. Now, I want you to see a clip of her, what I consider, this is someone who's been working with her for well over 10 years and they're well attuned. So this is what I think good, well attuned support looks like. Somebody's ready to go in the bathroom. Hey, darling. Somebody's ready to go in the bathroom. Hey, darling. I love this hum hum hum. There she goes, hum hum lady. There she goes. Oh, very much, isn't it? Are we going in the bathroom, are we? No. Do you know the way? Hey? Oh, it's getting good here. This lady knows what she's doing. This way. No. This way. This way. Oh, sorry. Bathroom, Odyssey. Bathroom. I want her. She wants a cuddle. Hey. I gotta catch her. She's in a hurry. She's rushing. She wants to get in there. And she's running. As you can see, I think beautifully attuned between the two of them. If you listened attentively, you would have heard a no. There is no in there, but clearly she wasn't saying no. She doesn't want to go to the bathroom because she's racing to the bathroom. She loves having her baths in the morning. They're long. They take her well over an hour. She soaks, she relaxes, and she does her exercises in the bath. Now, when I talk to new workers, when we're inducting new workers, I always go on about how important it is to let Odyssey take the lead. In order to be truly person-centered, you know, it has to be. So sometimes when she's on, she has very cyclical mood and behaviors, all associated with her conditions. So she may well be on as she is at the moment, a very slow-mo, takes her a long time to get up, long time to get moving. So we just have to let her. I know that for some people, if working in for instance, in working in residential settings, it can seem like a strange feeling of actually not working when you're told that you just have to simply sit, observe, and listen. I explain to new workers that learning disability is a continuum, that there are many people with a learning disability who can voice their needs, wishes, and you can make informed choices about what they want to eat or where they want to live. But at the other end of the continuum are people like my daughter. We have to interpret their communication. For example, if we accepted that when Odyssey says no, she literally means no, she would never eat, drink, have a bath, go out, anything. Because for my daughter, the answer to any question or any offer will always be no. This is one of the primary aspects of inducting new staff, understanding when no means no. And of course, we can still get it wrong, as I'm sure we often do. How do I explain to policymakers and commissioners that being heard for my daughter means making an assumption? Yes, the assumptions are made after very keen, attentive listening and observing, but they are assumptions nevertheless. And we ought never to lose sight of this. Odyssey cannot tell us directly if she is thirsty, hungry, bored, tired, or in pain, or if she'd like to listen to music, go out to a park, visit a swimming pool, or attend an art class. I mean, none of this isn't an exhaustive list, but none of this. For those like her, these everyday decisions are being made by someone else. Then there are the decisions about what to do with where people live, what the arrangements are, who they live with, who provides their support and care. If they don't have family members involved, there will always or usually be a number of people making decisions in their best interest. And studies have shown that those people making the decisions do not always understand the Mental Capacity Act and its implication for people deemed to lack capacity. The presumption of capacity element of the Mental Capacity Act, we find we use it in meaningful encounters in the home. So, for example, every night she has a routine about when she goes to bed, and there's always a choice. Do you want to go to bed or the couch? And we swap it around. Do you want the couch or bed? Do you want the bed or couch? It's always bed. But the point is, we need, in order to have this communication with someone like my daughter, it's vital, the need for a significant other. So my daughter has good support workers and myself and her sister. Someone who will function as the communication partner. Grove details research which has demonstrated how difficult it is to ascribe communication intentionality and how easy it is to interpret behaviors ambiguously, which the individual cannot then refute. Fogel describes the communication as a continuous process, oh, I can't get the words out, I'm turning into someone else, as the continuous processing model reliant on the active role. So that's my point. We're the ones that have to actively listen with all of our senses to try to understand what someone like my daughter is trying to communicate. And I have to show you, this is one of the last pictures I have of her, and it's from very early when she was a young child, but just to see such a joyful reaction on her face. And that's, she was being taken out on a lifeboat and had the sea, you can see the sea spray in her face. And it just reminds us that people like my daughter, as with all of us, is first and foremost a sensory being. Joyful smile on her face. And finally, I want to say, and I think I'll play this first and then because it took many years, many years and a lot of incremental work for Odyssey to actually sit up to the piano at music therapy. But this actually had us all teared up. I have to say, in the clamour to be heard in a world of competing identities, people with profound intellectual and multiple disabilities are often, or too often, overlooked. As I said, policymakers and commissioners of service have little direct knowledge of these people, and even if they do, they will overlook them in order to promote the group characteristics that better fit their policy. Notions of independence, employment, and mainstream inclusion are all problematic policy ideas for this group. Within one-size-fits-all service planning, this focus means there is less capacity to meet their lifelong specialist, complex, and individualized needs. Acknowledging human diversity by recognizing value and worth in all relationships, including dependent, can only lead to greater acceptance and understanding of the issues. Thank you.
Some of you may have met Samir. There was a dedication in this journal issue around Samir, who sadly passed away September of last year. He's got a strong connection with PMLD link and a lot of work around self and peer advocacy. So a bit about Samir's story, but also just like moving forward, we have lots of things politically happening in the care sector. And I wanted to touch upon certainly Samir's influence on me and on many other people in that respect. So Samir El-Ziftawy lived in Brighton and Hove, was a really strong influencer within learning disability services and the sector, and various campaigns, including sort of focusing on changing places, and I'll go into other things that he was involved in a minute. But one of the things that he supported with last year was a Do You See Me campaign. So in terms of the theme of being heard and being seen, I'll show you a quick video. And Annie, if you could just let me know if there's sound on this.
It's gone blank. Oh.
Black screen at the moment. I don't know if it's...
Sorry?
It's the black screen at the moment.
What's going on with the sharing today?
Oh, it's just
Right, is that the videos?
Oh, yeah, it's there ready.
Okay. Sound?
Yes,
I can hear sound.
brilliant.
Yes.
Do you see me for who I really am?
Do you see me as an angel or a person with flaws like everyone else?
Do you assume things about me because I have a learning disability?
Do you feel uncomfortable or fearful of me, or make an effort to get to know me?
Do you see me as being able to have a meaningful life?
Do you think you know everything about me simply because your aunt's husband's friend's daughter has a learning disability?
Are you listening to me even when I don't use spoken language?
Do you see me as an equal?
Am I visible to you?
When I'm in public, do you see me as a part of society or simply as an accessory to my support worker?
Do you feel sorry for me or see me for who I am?
Do you assume that I'm drunk at my own drugs? If I move or speak differently to other people?
Do you respect me as an adult?
Am I an equal partner in my support?
Will my voice be heard in a selection?
Do you see me as a person or a disability?
Do you only see the ways that you and I are different to one another? Or can you see that in so many ways, we are all alike?
Sorry, I have to drift between shares in a minute then. So that was a piece of work that Samir was heavily involved in, just to sort of get people to think about seeing and hearing people with disabilities. Samir, in terms of connection with PMLD Link, sort of stems back from a conference, Learning Disability England conference, quite some time ago. Samir had a paid role with Campaign for Change. So Campaign for Change is a self-advocacy group focusing on promoting the rights of people with disabilities and doing that in a number of ways, including through work with Learning Disability England and directly through government. Specifically at the minute through the Adult Social Care APPG, which is the all-party parliamentary group. So talking directly to ministers across the country and advocating for the rights of people. Mary on the screen here, Mary Woodall, is a key member of Campaign for Change. She was heavily influenced by Samir and does a lot of work campaigning at the minute for the rights of people with profound and multiple learning disabilities. Campaign for Change also get involved in a range of research projects. Samir was involved in a piece of research around acute liaison nurses and received a lot of compliments for the work that he did there. Creation of easy read information, consulting with external organizations, and creating podcasts. So a lot of that included Samir and other people with profound disabilities. So say Samir did support with conference presentations with Campaign for Change through Learning Disability England national conferences and through webinars with PMLD Link and Learning Disability England combined. He's done a lot of work campaigning down in Brighton for Changing Places, supporting those research projects and a very strong campaign around #language, thinking about the language that we use when we're talking about or talking to people with learning disabilities in social care. And really sort of thinking about removing that cloak of invisibility so that people with profound disabilities are seen and heard. A quote here from Samir's sister, Yasmin, just to say that involvement in this work with Campaign for Change made a big difference to him personally. A real sense of meaning, a sense of purpose, and a chance to socialize with a wider group of people and giving him a chance to take part in society. So, and that they're really proud of him, and even prouder because of the work that he was engaged in at a local and a national level. So with Campaign for Change, before Samir got involved, Campaign for Change as a self-advocacy group sort of like consisted of members of people who were autistic or they had a mild learning disability. So then the introduction of people with profound and multiple learning disabilities into that group really transformed the thinking of the group. And that's led to people like Mary really championing the rights of people with profound disabilities. So here on the right is an image of Mary, which was a couple of weeks ago, with Baroness Casey, who's leading on the adult social care reform work at the minute, making sure that Baroness Casey has got a copy of the PMLD standards and that there is a focus on that. This is an illustration of some of the things really want us to think about with sort of working on Samir's legacy, working on making sure that people with profound disabilities are present in society, they are thought about with policymakers, and moving away from thinking about disability, but focusing on people's abilities. So this is a tool that we use in Achieve Together, which is a co-produced person-centered framework on the, it's called a wheel of engagement. So on the outer wheel, we have what makes up the individual, the character, the identity, the person's strengths and talents. So we're honing in on that. As we go into the wheel, we're talking about sort of various aspects of well-being, physical, mental, spiritual well-being, personal safety, the relationships that people hold in their lives with family, friends, the sexual lives, and then going into the heart of the wheel, which is focused on people's everyday experiences, their aspirations, and at the very center then thinking about maintaining and enhancing independence for the person. So we really got to think about, as we move forward with social care reform, where people or how we describe people with profound and multiple learning disabilities. So here the urge is to think about those positive characteristics of the person first, before we talk about disability and all of those challenges the person has in their life. So we have an opportunity here in this room, which is like seems to be the norm, is we have people who already have a connection with people with profound and multiple learning disabilities. But how do we get these messages out to people who don't have that understanding? So Dreenagh is talking about sort of the policymakers. They don't have contact, they don't have communication with this population. The onus is on us to make that happen, to make that a reality. So if we are to have any influence over the social care of the future, we need to be inputting into this independent commission, which is being led by Baroness Casey. This commission has started now, so it will report firstly in phase 1 next year, and then must report back by 2028 in its entirety. And it's really starting a national conversation about what adult social care should be delivering for its people to meet current and future needs. So we need to be telling this commission what that means for people with profound and multiple learning disabilities. We all have a responsibility within that. The commission needs to make tangible recommendations for everybody, not just people with mild learning disabilities, not just with people who might pose challenges in terms of their behaviour, but everybody, including this population. So the aim of this commission is to make adult social care more productive, preventative, giving people who draw on social care and their families and carers more power in the system. And the presence and the voice of people with profound and multiple learning disabilities is critical to that. The Commission needs to seek to understand the current adult social care landscape, and the Commission will speak to a number of parties. Everybody wants to talk to Baroness Casey to have their say. We should be in there. We need to be in there, and make sure that we make some noise on behalf of people with profound and multiple learning disabilities, but also making sure that those people are present, they are visible, and that's what's driving me on is my time spent with Samir, and sort of pushing that forward in terms of his legacy. So we need to think about how can we collectively ensure there's more public conversations about this population to feed in directly into the social care review. So I'm hoping we can have a few minutes to think about that. I'm going to draw you back to the PMLD core and essential service standards in this respect. We have a shared responsibility to work collaboratively with each other to ensure support and service delivery is safe and of a high quality. We need input into that commission to make sure that that's a reality for people with profound disabilities. So then we're feeding in, we're talking about leadership, the culture, strong values and accountability, quality, skill and confidence development in the workforce, the social care workforce, and for families as well, so they feel skilled and confident to support people to live in their own homes. The physical environments that people are living in, they are fit for purpose. There's effective communication, you know, all of these things. So making sure that people have got good quality lives. So what can we do? So what we can do is tell the stories. You're all, you know, I know lots of you, and you're all great storytellers. We all have narratives. We need to connect with the decision makers to make sure that they know about the lived realities of people with profound and multiple learning disabilities and their families, the challenges, but also the positives. We are typically very creative, and there's many different medium we can use in order to get our stories across to these people in power. And a reminder that social care is about people's lives. We need to move away from a medical model to a strengths-based model. So then we're talking more positively about people and their positive attributes. And where people have great and flourishing lives. So how can we repeat that for more people? And that's, you know, some of the stuff that we really need to sort of iron out and sort of be focused on. I want you to go away today, please, if you can, if you're not familiar with these organizations or these tools. But when we're going forward and looking about how we can impact upon the adult social care reform, think about Social Care Future, a great movement. If you tap into the website, there's a focus on gloriously ordinary lives. And there's lots of ideas and support there for the Casey Commission around innovation, early action, sort of like typically called about preventative support, reform, helping local councils to fix the sort of plumbing and wiring that underpins adult social care, and the whole issue around collaboration and co-production, including with people with profound and multiple learning disabilities. It can be done. Learning Disability England have got the Good Lives framework recently updated and improved, and sort of talking about solutions, not problems, highlighting what we stand for. So it's more positively focused, not negatively focused, so creating opportunities, emphasizing the support for heroes and not pity for victims, and just showing that we've got this. And we can't assume that government and local councils will solve all of the problems in the system. We all have a shared responsibility for the part that we play. So rather than just talking in our silos, talking to the people who are already connected, we need to talk to the people who are not connected with this population, taking shared responsibility, the part that we play and the influence that we can have, and chip away. So not waiting passively. And that's a final word. Hopefully, if this works, I might need to put it on a different share. So Samir is effectively removing the cloak of invisibility, making sure that people with profound disabilities are more visible, more heard in society. When you get slides, bit of a plug here for Campaign for Change and the work that they do. There's some podcasts there, various social media. But if I just end there, it's in terms of, so this focus, that for me, this legacy of Samir's is that people with profound and multiple learning disabilities must be seen. But we have a strong part to play in that. We have an opportunity nationally in the UK in making sure that people with profound and multiple learning disabilities have a real voice. They are people who are better understood by policymakers, by government. So I think we all have a part to play. And just so open it up to you, the audience, about your thoughts about how we might potentially achieve that. Silence. So we are the voice of people with profound and multiple learning disabilities. I had plans to support somebody with profound and multiple learning disabilities up to a Parliament building for a meeting with MPs. That couldn't be achieved because the Parliament building wasn't accessible. So alongside having the challenges of public transport in London and sort of public changing places, some of the Parliament buildings are not accessible to people. So I did complain, but yeah, so we often talk within our group here as people with a vested interest in people with profound and multiple learning disabilities. How do we get to those policymakers who have no idea? Annie?
I was just going to say, at a very kind of local level, I'm, as a family carer, I'm constantly lobbying my MP, signing all the petitions and linking him in. On social media, I'm tagging him into all of the things I think he needs to be reading and the information that brings the reality. Because as you say, so many people will just not have met people with individuals with profound and multiple learning disabilities, or would have no idea about the realities of the barriers and obstacles, the inequalities, you know, the even greater inequalities than they experience than the general population of people with learning disabilities. I think it's quite telling that we're almost 12 months overdue for the latest leader report, which is NHS government commissioned report on the lives and deaths of people with learning disabilities. And I'm part of the advisory group that was kind of ready a very long time ago. So you kind of wonder, is it being held back? This is a personal view, because it doesn't suit them to have that sort of information out there about the reality of, you know, the harsh inequalities they continue to experience when they're talking about welfare reform, benefit cuts, and everything that brings. That's obviously a personal view. That's not PMLD link view, but I'm sure many people will kind of relate to that.
Thank you for that, Annie. I think, yeah, sorry, Pascal, Donna, do you want to?
Oh, hi everybody. I'm Donna from See Ability. Yeah, we are trying to engage with more politicians, and I just wanted to say sometimes it's not that obvious that they do have understanding, because it's not until you actually get them out. If you just invite them out to meet you on a Friday in their constituency, it's those conversations they'll suddenly say, you know, they'll suddenly tell you something personal that they haven't shared elsewhere. And there are 350 new MPs. So I would just say it's definitely worth, even, you know, a year in from the election, worth getting them out rather than having to go to them, and actually meeting them in their constituencies. And actually you'll find out a lot of interesting stuff from them that they possibly hasn't been picked up. We don't subscribe to all of these parliamentary monitoring services because they're dead expensive, but it's a really interesting way of getting them to open up about what their understanding is. So, and some of them do have, you know, Daniel Francis, for example, his daughter has profound and multiple learning disabilities. He's a new MP. He's been really supportive to us so far, and things like that. So you find things out about them that they don't necessarily share.
Yeah, I think that's really important, Donna. And I was thinking sort of when I was sort of pulling slides together about creating templated letters that could go out to MPs and councillors to do that very thing, sort of invite them to spend time with people with profound disabilities, and sort of like make sure that there's a greater awareness amongst those key people who are involved in decision making, because if they don't spend time with this population or don't understand the needs of people with profound disabilities, we won't get a look in. So if people think it's a decent idea, I'll draft some templated letters and put them, you know, sort of through sort of PMLD links, socials, to try and get some encouragement or some tools that will help us along the journey to getting in front of MPs and local councillors. We're about 5 minutes from the end. So if there are any other sort of questions or comments to myself or Dreenagh, then just like say it now. Otherwise, I haven't had a chance to sort of have check on questions on the chat, but I'll sort of make a record of the chat as well. This recording will be available, so we'll sort of like can't remember how we post it. Do you remember, Annie or Bella? How did we make it available last time?
The recording.
Recording, yeah.
Yeah. Once it's on our new YouTube channel, we can share the link to that. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
I was going to suggest, Michael, as well, that there's likely to be lots of people here that maybe haven't seen the journal or don't currently subscribe. We can make Dreenagh's article as a sort of a sample from that recent journal and make that available. Unfortunately, on PMLD links social media, we can't share PDFs, so we'll have to think of a way of perhaps people that have registered for the webinar today, we can send that when we send out link to the recording. But for people that don't subscribe, you can access 100 journals of our back journals on the website by just logging in as a free guest subscriber. Obviously, we really appreciate if you chose to subscribe, because you get dedicated access to the 10 most recent journals.